You know, obviously the difference between hitting and pitching is pretty simple in terms of the way we have to train, right? As a hitter, you guys can take as many swings as you want to. There's really no limit. As a pitcher, we can throw every day, we can work on something, but our time is limited, or at least, you know, how much or the intensity level. So from that end, if we can't do it as often, then we've got a way to find a way to make it count more. To me, as I rove through the minor leagues, even watching some of our big league guys throw their bullpens, it's really for them, it's just part of their routine. They just do it to do it. The good ones don't. The good ones, there's a plan. The good ones, there is this how am I going to improve? And, you know, I talk a lot to our guys. I talk to a lot to our guys at Vanderbilt, wherever I've been, about trying to figure out a way to be 1% better. I'm stepping out of the way sometimes, and I think that's a good thing. I think we have a tendency to talk too much as coaches. One of my first years in the minor leagues, you know, we're at the six-pack, we're throwing bullpens, and I've got 6 guys throwing, and I've got 6 coaches talking to 6 different guys, and it took 15 minutes to throw 30 pitches. You know, it could have taken 5. But we stopped, we talked, and I don't know if that's a learning environment. I mean, as a player, if a coach would have done that for me, you know, you're going to be respectful, right? You're going to say, yes, coach. You're going to not know half of the shit that he's saying, but you're going to say, yes, coach. So, you know, I think we got to figure out times when we should talk, and there are times when we should shut up. There are times when we should be able to use things like this to provide a goal for what we're doing, and then get out of the way and let them learn how to do it. There's a lot of stuff on kind of how we're learning now, like how to learn better. And one of the principles, and it's actually a pretty old principle, is the Bernstein principle. Has anyone ever heard it? Bernstein principle is the body organizes itself basically for the task at hand. Okay? So it's basically saying the body will figure out a way to do it. It might take 1 trial. It might take 500 trials. Our job as a coach is to try to figure out as many productive trials as we can get. We want to eliminate the unproductive trials. We don't want it to take 500 times for this guy to get it. If we can get it in 4 or 5, then that helps us, right? A log to work. This is big for me. I want to make sure that I remember all the steps that I took. I want to remember all the unproductive trials. I want to remember all the good cues that I gave him that seemed to work, because I can go back to them. This could be written in a book. This could be on your iPhone on the notes page. This could be on a Google document sheet. Like, this is easy. This isn't hard stuff. It doesn't have to be anything in particular. It's in your writing, it's with your stuff, and it's the way that you think. But it's really important, because then I can go back when things go wrong. And ultimately, things go wrong. We're working our way into the bullpen today. All right? The first question I'm going to ask him is, what do you want to do today? Right? Not what I want to do. I have an idea what I want to do, but I want to know what the player wants to do too. It might be a little bit different than what you think. It might be better than what you think. It may be exactly in line. But for me, the thing is, I'm going to ask this because it lends cues as to where this guy is at as a pitcher. Right? He's coming in the bullpen. He's going to throw this side, and we say, well, what do you want to do today? And if he's like, I don't know, that's a teaching moment. That's a teaching point. That's what do you mean you don't know? Why don't you know? Right? If you're going to be any good at this thing, you have to know. Right? And then you guys can talk through what you're going to do. Okay? But that's a really big question, and it's one that I ask every single day. Second concept is, are we going to be over the rubber, or are we going to be over the plate? And this is as much for me as it is for the pitcher. The reason it's as much for me as it is over the pitcher, because I start to go kind of different directions, right? But over the rubber, basically what that means is that we're working on a feel of the body, you know, a movement, part of my delivery, feel of a pitch, whatever. And if that's the case, then a catcher might not be necessary, right? Like, if he's working on that, I can put a net in front of him. He can go through that feel. He can close his eyes and throw the ball. Whatever it is that you have going for you, then you can figure that out, right? But what I don't want to start doing is, I want all of this stuff to happen with the move, but I want him to throw perfect strikes too. And that's not quite fair, right? It may eventually be fair, but right now, while he's learning that skill or that feel, that's not fair. Okay, so I want to stay away from thinking about, trying to do both things. We're going to have a good delivery and we're going to have the perfect pitch. Or, on this particular day, we're going to be over the plate, right? So I don't talk about the delivery. What I'm talking about is what's going on down there. And in the big leagues, the majority of the time we're spending over the plate, right? Like, I'm not saying we don't work on any parts of the delivery. Just saying that the majority of our time we are working over the plate, because it's more important for us to be able to feel where the ball is going to go, the shape of the pitch, and be able to figure out what we're going to do against lefties and what we're going to do against righties than it is, like, is my delivery perfect? I don't know if you guys know this, but no one's delivery is perfect, right? And it's okay. It's what makes us human. It's what probably, shows deception or gives us deception. It's maybe what makes the ball move in a funny direction, which we're all kind of looking for now too. But over the rubber, over the plate, we agree to it, and then we go to work. Okay? Third concept, and this is an important one for me too, is grease the grooves. I can't tell you how many times I've walked into a bullpen. I'll see one on February 13th when we open up pitcher-catcher camp. The youngest guy there, the first-time big league camp guy, will be throwing 915 miles an hour. Because he wants to impress me, right? He wants to make a club. He's like, here's my shot, right? But I can't tell you how many times I've gone in and watched a bullpen, and it's like the guy never gave himself a chance to get it right. Like if you think about what we're trying to do with our delivery, we're trying to basically control our body and we're trying to sequence it properly. If I take it easy, I work my way into it, I build speed, I get my rhythm, my tempo, my timing down, then I start to add velocity as the bullpen goes. I promise you, your bullpens are going to look different if you'll just follow this one, right? Just get him to start easy, get him to understand how to control his body, how to get his line to the plate, how to get everything going in the right direction, and then start adding as you go, whether it's adding pitches, whether it's adding velocity, size of the plate, whatever, okay? But we're trying to get a feel for the mound, we're trying to get a feel for the ball, we're trying to get a feel for ourselves. Okay, so this is where some of these toys kind of start to come into play, right? And I started thinking about this a long time ago. I always felt like guys were trying to make the plate, or they thought of the plate as bigger than what it was. And the reason I say that is, like, everyone's got that strong side of the plate, right? You're like, almost every one of your pitchers has one side of the plate that he's pretty good at throwing it on, and then the other side is just, it's not good, right? And a lot of times that's the glove side, right? It's the opposite hand trying to get the ball to an extension side. And that's when he starts to yank and pull, and that's when you see a lot of, just bad pitches. But where do guys miss, right? Like, where's the miss pattern of pretty much everyone on the face of the planet? They miss in one of two places. They miss up and in, or they miss down and away, right? That makes sense. From a timing standpoint, really, really early, right? If I try to drag it with me, do too much with my body, that's where I'm maybe a little bit early, and the ball's yanked across. Okay, but the bottom line is, I started thinking about, well, what do guys that you see have really good command? What do they do, right? And you can see, like, nothing really changed in their delivery. Their head was still, and like their hand looked the same, their tempo looked the same, and it didn't look ever like they were making adjustments from side to side. And if they were making adjustments, they were just really small. So I started thinking about, what is it that they do? And I think that they basically start in the middle of the plate, and then they're able to work from one side to the other, and they're able to work up and down. Right? So I'm going to talk a lot about training our hand. Right? We don't want to use our body to throw the ball in terms of direction. We certainly want to use our body to throw the ball. We want to use our hand for direction, in and out, back and forth. So if I were at release point, right, you can kind of see this from this example. Right, the ball is here, and my line, my string stays together for a good bit of that distance, and then it starts to spread. Right? From my standpoint, that's a good visual understanding that adjustments, we don't have to be too big with our adjustments. So how do we teach pitchers to over-adjust? When he misses from one side of the plate to the other, what do you guys always have the catcher do? We go to the extreme other side. Right? And so now he's basically taught to try to adjust from here to here. So I started thinking about the way that we should maybe try to adjust, making the adjustment smaller, and I went from center out, knowing that if I can get the ball in the center of the plate, my adjustment to here is going to be small. My adjustment to here is going to be small too. Okay? So just kind of looking at it that way, I'm thinking about those micro adjustments with my hand. My body stays the same, it's propelling the baseball, but my hand is guiding it from one side of the plate to the other. Okay, so every bullpen that we start, I'm going to start in the middle, and then I'm going to make small adjustments to the sides, right? And I'm going to make small adjustments up and down. And the more that we did it like this, the more that our command improved, right? So from an east-west standpoint, I might start with something like this, right? So just trying to take my hand to orange, take my hand to yellow. Simple as that. I start center out, and then orange, yellow, orange, yellow, 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 orange, right? So it's a visual for them to see, it's something for them to feel, and we keep those adjustments really small. When they get better at it, we turn it over, and now it's 3, right? So now we start white, we go to yellow, we go to orange. We go from orange to yellow. That's that side-to-side version of it. But what it'll do is if they'll stay tight and through the zone, right, they'll start getting their hand where they need to get it. Their command gets better, pretty much by just using this thing. You take these smaller plates, right, and you say, I want you to just throw the ball over the plate. It's a smaller version of the plate. It should be harder to hit. Right? For north and south, we're going to use strings. I set my string, my bottom string, at about mid-thigh. Right? And the reason I put it at mid-thigh is I want them to throw the ball below it. Right? Because I know that if they throw the ball below it, that's a ball at the knees, it's a strike. I don't care if they ever hit this or not. Top string, if I want to put a second string on there, I might put it right around his hip, his belt buckle. Right? So basically what I've done is I've created a down and up environment. Right? A down environment is mid-thigh and down. My up environment is I'm hitting the string or I'm going above the zone. I might try to say we're staying out of that no man's land. Right? We're going to stay out of no man's land. So I've been able to help those guys make adjustments just with the setup of the plate. There's my east and west. Or with the strings, there's my north and south. And you can do that with a changeup, you can do that with a breaking ball, you can do that with a slider, however you want to do it. Why don't we use the colors? Why don't we use the strings? And now we have a real goal that they can try to obtain during the bullpen. It also kind of gives you instant feedback, right? I either did it or I didn't. Okay? I think the eyes are really important too. And I think it's a really overlooked thing when you're talking about developing pitchers. Right, so just like a couple of things I think of with the eyes. How many of you guys have ever asked your players if they follow the flight of the ball? Ask every one of your guys if they follow the flight of the ball after they pitch it. And you'll find out the guys who do are usually your guys who don't have very good command. Right, the guys who don't, the guys who keep their eye on the glove, or at least somewhere out in front of them, they have a tendency to be the guys who have a little bit better command. You can improve command if you see guys following the flight of the ball. I have no idea why they follow the flight of the ball. So you can improve command, you can improve your bullpens just with eyes alone. A couple other things with the eyes that I think matter. If you look at a guy and he lifts his leg, he's going to look down. When he looks down, how many guys have pitchers who look down and then look back up before they throw? What you'll see is wherever he cuts his eyes to the ground is pretty much where he's going to go with his line, with his body. Right? So you've seen those guys who are across their body. One way to take 2 or 3 inches off of that cross-body guy is just get him to keep his eyes on the target. So instead of looking down, which is where he drifts to, you keep your eyes on the target. He doesn't drift. It might only be an inch or two, but that's usually what we're fighting for, is we're fighting for an inch or two. I love short distance bullpens to long distance bullpens. So short being like 45, the little league guys, you guys throw that. Long distance would maybe be 65, 70 feet. And I love those pins for various reasons. I like the short ones if you're trying to really keep a guy connected through the center of the plate. We talked about being a little bit tighter, kind of having that center out approach. Well, this is a good way to do it. I use it a lot for breaking ball spins. I'll use it just for that kind of that delivery piece of shortening guys up and keeping them connected. The long one, if you have a guy who's not aggressive, who doesn't have intent, get the catcher at 70 feet and make him get after that throw. You'll see a level of aggression that goes up right away with that, because he has to. Right? He feels like his body's got to do a little bit more to get the ball there. This is probably one of my favorite types of pins. It's essentially throwing a pitch and then working off of it. That's what we do in the game, right? We throw a pitch, whatever it is. It's a curveball, it's a changeup, it's a fastball, it's a strike or a ball, but then we have to figure out what we're going to do next, right? So, it's a strike down and away. Okay, we're good. We're 0-1. Where do I go next with this? Do I go in? Do I go up? Do I flip it? Do I change it? If it's a ball, what can I do for a ball? Like if I threw ball 1, do I have to throw another fastball to get 1-1? Can I throw the changeup 1-0? Can I throw the breaking ball 1-0? Right? Or 2-strike bounce. He can't bounce his breaking ball. Here's my colored spots. I'm going to take this spot. He's a curveball guy, so I'm going to say, I want you to land it right here in the middle of the plate. Or he's a slider guy. Here's your slider. I want this to be a wipeout slider, a back foot slider to a lefty. Right? Try to hit the spot. Do we always have to work on something? There are times in the season when things are going really good. What do you want to do today? I just want to cop a field, and then I want to get out. Right? So that's right. We'll throw that, 15, 20 pitch bullpen. He feels good about where he's at and what he's doing, and then we're out. So we didn't use the strings. We didn't use a stand-in. We didn't have a fluid or a sequence type of bullpen setting. He just threw a few pitches and got himself out. There's room for that too, for sure. I already talked about the log, and I think it's important. I don't think it takes any time either. I do it every day in the big leagues. I do it every day in spring training. I do it every day during the season. It takes me 10 minutes. Every bullpen we throw, I log it. And it's subjective. It's just what I think of it. Hey, he had a pretty good breaking ball today. We didn't money ball. He sucked. Or here's why he sucked. Okay?